Best I'm gonna be.
All right. And it looks like we're live now. So how you been, Scott?
I have
Who
been
do you prefer,
fine, and
Scott or Scotty?
I normally go by Scotty. It makes me feel younger than I am.
I get it. I get it. So yeah, not a problem. I just wanted to make sure because I noticed. I know I've been referring to you as Scott, but I just noticed you changed your screen name or your channel name where it says Scotty on it. So I said I better ask.
Yeah, I saw another guy's on one of the live streams. He had his channel name and then in parentheses his name.
Uh
I'm
huh.
like, that's a really good idea because nobody knows half people's names unless you've been on these live streams forever, which I haven't been. So
Yeah, so let me see. We got some people rolling in. Let me get some hellos out of the way because they're starting to join us. First one in here was Sam. Why are we always yelling? And then we have Sarah the Great. Sarah's joining us today. Linda, thank you so much for being here. And the Aqua Escape, Cece, thank you so much for joining us. The resident alien, Tommy. How you doing, Tommy? Thanks for joining us. David's Aquatics, thanks for coming in. And we're back at it again. It seems like um, I was away for quite some time, and I think I've come back with vengeance because now I've got the entire weekend. I got something going on, so but I'm trying to play catch up. That's really what it is. I want to end the year on par with what I did last year. I don't want to be below that. So that's kind of what we're striving for.
yeah, it seems like almost every day you've got a live stream.
Well, what happens is I'm trying to for the longest time I was messing around with rearranging my fish room, and that took a lot longer than I was expecting because when I started building my fish room, I pieced it together. It was just kind of like by necessity. I would just set some tanks and on to the next thing. This time around, I wanted it to have a little bit more thought into it. Not that I spend a whole lot of. Hey, Jay, we got J Rock coming in, Stan the Man, David, gracias por estar aquí. Aquatic Moose, the Funkster is also here, and so it took me a lot longer to figure out what it was, and then this time I actually turned around and painted some of the wrecks, and because I wanted to be more aesthetic pleasing, but it took me a lot longer than I was expecting. I still have to paint one wreck, the last wreck that I built. I just kind of built it and threw it up against the wall and kind of left it there, but I need to address that. And my wife wants me to make this a little bit more coherent with the rest of them because this one was originally the one that I did at cinder blocks and 2x4s, and I kind of incorporated my shadow colors, which is predominantly black and white, but I like red, so I have sometimes some red accents on the stuff. So, but that's the last one. I don't want to tackle it because that means breaking down all these tanks, and they're heavy. And when you got to move them by yourself, that's why when I saw you do the little pawn on the wheels, I was like, Scotty's thinking just like me. why carry it or push it when you can roll it?
Well, I'm disabled and I have steel rods in my spine. I got a real bad back and I dislocated both my shoulders while I was in the military. So I'm pretty much broke dick. But, so I try to do everything I can, with ease and, moving tanks around. I'll get my grandson to come over here because he's like almost 6 foot tall now. He's only 15, but he's huge.
Yeah.
and or my son-in-law, they'll come over and we move some tanks around whenever I needed to, but because getting old sucks sometimes.
Yeah, I'm getting there a lot quicker than I'd care for, but you know what? It's just part of life.
Yep.
Well, that's what I'm glad you mentioned your prior service, because one of my favorite videos that you have is the introductory video that you did, because you really allow us to get to know you, right off the bat, who you are, what you've done. I really, really enjoyed that video. It really drew me in, and ever since then, I've been subbed and I've been watching what you've been doing. But for those that haven't had the opportunity to watch that video, which I highly encourage you guys go out and do it, why don't you give us a little bit of your background so that people get an understanding of where you're coming from?
All right. Well, so I joined the military. I was 18 years old, got out of school, joined the military. I served for 21 years in the U.S. Army. I deployed to 3 different times to combat zones and served over in Southwest Asia and also in Bosnia. Came back from all that mess and I decided it's time to quit. So I put my retirement paperwork in and I retired from the military. And then I continued on in a civilian career. I worked in Austin, Texas right after I got out and worked down there till the company I worked for, they decided to move farther south because I lived like an hour and a half drive to work one way every day.
Wow.
And so when they moved even farther south, I'm like, I'm out of here. I went to Waco and went to work up there with a sister company. And I was a Detroit diesel and Allison transmission certified technician. But like I say, I broke my back in 2001, had my first surgery then. And in 2012, I had a second surgery where they had to fuse my whole lower back because it was just destroyed. The doctor told me he didn't even know how I was walking because I was bone to bone. Everything was just, my spine is just deteriorating. So anyway, so I did that for a while. And then, the neurosurgeon pretty much told me, he's like, if you keep going the way you're going, when you hit 50, you're going to be in a wheelchair.
Oh, this is way before you were. How old were you when you were having all these surgeries and stuff? The incidents that were going on?
Well, I had just retired from the military when I had my first surgery. So I was probably 38, something like that, maybe 39.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, then 2012, they did my second surgery. And so I decided, well, it's time to find a desk job. So I went into the IT field and I worked in IT all the way up until 3 years ago when I completely retired 100%. And I'm done. I'm done working. I was tired of the IT work where I'm working 12, 14 hours a day, get called at 2:00 in the morning. Hey, we got a problem with production. I need somebody to go out there and look at it. And yeah, I'm just getting too old for that. So I said, no, we ain't doing that. So when I retired, the same day I put my retirement paperwork in with the civilian company, I just gave them my resignation basically. And my wife and me, we've been trying to move because where we were living at, it was getting really rough. A lot of murders and shootings and just crazy crap going on in that neighborhood. So the good Lord just lays things in your hand when it's right, I guess so, because we found a house after searching for 2 years. The day after I put my retirement paperwork in, we found a house. We won the bid on it. And I tell the finance officer, I'm like, I don't have no income anymore. It's just my retirement and my disability check, So is that going to affect me buying this house? And they looked at me, nah, you're good. So we bought the house, and then this tank over here, the 180, that was my retirement gift from my wife. And she says she's sorry that she ever did that because after that, I just because well, I had a 75 gallon and a 40 breeder already, but I bought the 180, and that's a custom aquarium's 180, so it ain't cheap. That's almost $8,000 worth of fish tank with a sump and everything. It's a beautiful tank. I love it. And not disappointed at all with it. But my wife's like, now I've gone crazy because now I've got like 11 or 12 tanks. And so the tank or the summer tub that I'm putting together, I just finished it today. I got plants and I put 3 little guppies in there it's not cycled. So I'm just trying to get it cycled. And so she told me today, says, you're just nuts. And the day I die, there'll be an auction out here in the front yard. Give me 10, give me 20.
Yeah, I don't think my wife's gonna deal with the auction. Just say, come and get it. First one here can take it all.
Well, so my wife is Korean, so she'll want money. She don't want nothing for free or give away nothing. So
Yeah. Oh,
But
speaking of, before we get a little bit carried away, I know you had emailed me a while back. You were wondering what happened to Gabriel. Gabriel happens to be here in the chat today. I just
sweet.
figured, because I know you
Hi,
were
Gabriel.
inquiring about him. Yeah, he's enjoying being a grandfather right now. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah, you emailed me back about that and told me that, and then I forget I was on somebody's live stream and Gabriel's on there, so I gave him a shout out, and he was mentioning he had a new granddaughter, so that's always cool.
yeah, no, that's you got to enjoy them when they're small because they start growing up so quick. Ours are 10, 9, and I think Sophia just turned 6, and boy, do they change fast. No, she turned 5, and the 10-year-olds, they're like little preteens now.
Yeah.
But they're still at that point where they don't mind hanging out with us, and they don't mind giving grandma a kiss.
I've got an 18-year-old grandson. He's just now driving, and his brother is 17, and he doesn't have his permit because he's not doing so hot in school. So Daddy says, "Till you do school, you ain't getting a permit." And then my other grandson from my daughter, he's 15, so it won't be long. He'll be getting his license or getting a permit. And then I have a 7-year-old. My son has a 7-year-old daughter. Now she's autistic and she's nonverbal, but she's super smart. She really is. I mean, she knows everything that she wants. She'll grab your hand, take you over to it. I want that, so you get it to her. And she's a SpongeBob SquarePants fanatic. Everything SpongeBob SquarePants that you buy for her, she just loves it. So, and then my son adopted a boy. He's now 2. One of his wife's coworker, she works in San Antonio, and she works in the hospital. And she got pregnant, and she didn't want the baby because the baby daddy wasn't hanging out or whatever. And she had the baby at the San Antonio hospital and just left it there. And yeah, I mean, it's terrible. But my son and my daughter-in-law, they just felt so bad about it. They went and talked to them and talked to the baby's daddy, and they signed over the rights and everything. So they have full custody of him. And he's a little ball of fire. He's just so cute. And I just laugh. I mean, he'll make you laugh just looking at him because he's just so funny. He's a good kid. So I'm proud of my son for doing what he did. Give him. He's giving a boy a chance in life. Where he was at, it just wasn't going to be good. So
it's a fortunate baby.
Yeah.
Sarah wants to know if you had already set up a SpongeBob tank for your granddaughter.
No. So what I did is whenever she come to my house, I mean, they live in Seguin, which is like 2.5 hours from me. I'm I'm right outside of Fort Hood. And so whenever they did come up, she was just fascinated with my fish tank. So I had a 90-gallon tank out on my back patio at my old house. And I told my son, I said, "You want this tank?" And, "Oh yeah, I'll take it." So we loaded it up, took it down there to him, and he set it all up, and he loves to fish. So he went and grabbed some catfish out of the river and some perch and a couple of goldfish he bought at the store and just threw it all in there. And my granddaughter would go there every morning. She'd get out of bed and she'd run over to the kitchen area, and they had what do you call it? It's like a picnic table, dining room table, right, for their dinner. She'd grab the bench and drag it right over by the tank, and she'd just lean up, put her feet up like this, up against the tank, and just sit there and just ooh, just love it. But then she found, saw my son doing feeding the fish, so she climbed up there and dumped the whole thing in the tank. So needless to say, they had a big cloudy mess for a while, but
a few water changes will fix that.
Oh, my son is not really a good fish keeper. He works hard and he works crazy hours, and the job that he works at, it's a regional recycle facility slash a CNC machine shop. And so they take scrap cars and they shred them and they separate it and then they melt this stuff down and all sorts of stuff. So he has some crazy hours. So he don't take care of his tanks well. And, I gave him a couple of canister filters and, I told him, put them in a bucket because if they leak, you don't want it all over your floor, Of course, he didn't listen the first time, so he got a little wet on the floor. But but yeah, I mean it's good. I mean, and he set it up with SpongeBob and stuff, so she's tickled to death. But he ended up having to move, and where he's moved at right now, he can't have aquariums. So that 90-gallon came back to me, but at the time I was like, I got no place for it, so it sat out in my garage, and I ended up selling it out on the marketplace. And this guy, they really needed it. I forget what they were using it for. I think it was a turtle tank.
Oh, okay.
And so, but that's how that worked out.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's just, I thought I was done with all the aquariums, but I still have 3 tanks that I haven't set up. Every time I look, I find one extra tank I totally forgot about. I have one of them that's actually sitting under my workbench. It's like a little 10-gallon corner tank. That's the one I always forget. And every time I go use my air compressors, when I remember that it's sitting there, it's like, oh, I got to set this up somewhere.
Right.
Actually, I'm looking for probably a kid to give it to. My wife has several coworkers, and she's waiting for somebody to mention that they are looking for a fish tank because they kind of know now that I kind of keep aquariums. So they'll come and ask her periodically, hey, can you ask your husband about this or that? So I'm waiting for the day that she comes to me and she goes, hey, so-and-so asked if they were thinking about getting a tank. And that way I'll just tell them, hey, I got this. I'll set it up completely for you guys. Just plug and play.
Yeah. So I have a question for you too. I know all your tanks are in the garage, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have it insulated or air conditioned or anything, do you?
No, it's cinder block construction. This back wall you can see where insulation, it's just got like that paneling insulation right up there. And then it's you can see the rest of the cinder block. So it's not completely insulated other than the roof. The roof is insulated, which helps tremendously. The other thing that I find very interesting, and this is the first time I've lived somewhere where you don't have vents in the garage. I'm coming from California, where all the garages had ventilation at the bottom. This one doesn't. I looked everywhere to see if I could find a vent because I was thinking about running a water line, not a water line, the drain line out. And because it's cinder block, I didn't want to have to drill the wall.
Right.
So I was looking for one of the drains that, the vent that would go out either at the bottom or the top, and there's nothing. It's a solid box in here. But what I do temporarily, because I really need to start saving up some money and buy a mini split.
Right.
And set it up in here with a heat pump and a cool pump, and just run it at 80 all year round. I don't need it to be cool. I don't need it to be, well, actually in the winter, I'll probably drop it to 75. That's what I have, a radiator heater that I sit in here. And our winters, it's like you guys. Well, no, I think you guys are probably colder than us because you guys freeze. But our winters are pretty mild that I can get away with. I'm actually sitting here at 76 degrees right now. And so it's a little oil-filled radiator heater that I have, and that works fine. I mean, the tanks will probably be probably like 74, which is fine. I mean, the fish they'll make it through the winter.
Yeah. So how do you deal with let me ask you this, your tanks in the summertime, what do the temperatures get like?
Insane. They're between 88 and 92, depending on the time of the day. I run a big shop fan that I have right here sitting next to me. And 2 summers ago, I made a bad investment. Now I kind of kick myself in the butt because I bought a evaporative swamp cooler, like the ones that are
Yeah,
on
yeah.
wheels. Well, we have dry heat for most of the year, so I thought it was going to be less expensive. I didn't do my homework. I thought it was going to be less expensive than buying a mini split unit. Well, come to find out, because we're so close to the border, all the shops down here buy them from Mexico and bring them over. So where I was looking online, a unit that would cost you about $1,600, we can get them here for like $500-$600, and another 200 to get it installed with wiring and everything. So when I found that out, I had already bought the swamp cooler and I paid like 400 and something. So I was like, dude, for like $200 more, I could have put a unit in here and it would have been better. But yeah, it's just I can manage to get the temperatures. I think I've done several videos where I come in here and the temperature will be about 88, 87 is the coolest I can get it during the peak of summer. And yeah, the tanks will be, running in the mid to high 80s sometimes. August is the worst month though. Yeah, August is definitely the worst month.
Yeah.
Where temperatures really what I tell people is we don't have temperature fluctuations because we're 114, 115 on average during the day, and our temperature only drops to 100 at night. I go out at midnight and it's still, you can't walk barefoot on the asphalt out here unless you want to get blisters on the bottom of your feet. You would think that because the sun went down, it should cool off, but it traps all that heat, and it's the worst. It's the worst experience because you're walking and you can feel the heat rising from the ground as you walk. It's like, it's miserable.
I'm
But
going to adjust my camera here, so bear with me
yeah, no problem. So
because
it's
I can't see the chat where I'm looking the other way. So
yeah, well, I can see it and I'm horrible. I got to make sure that there's no questions.
Right. I think I'm kind of crooked here.
Yeah, I don't think they're just chatting in the chat. But
Right.
yeah, no, it's just I managed to keep it where, well, I'm actually pushing the limits, and I think at the end of the day I might be shortening the lifespan of my fish because I'm pretty sure they're clocked at 100, because of the temperatures. And what I tell people is well, don't all your fish die? No, not all of them die. I do have some die off. But I think it's mostly the fish that were already not 100% healthy. Their systems are weakened for some reason or other. That those are the ones that I'll lose. But for the most part, everything makes it. I don't have it.
At those temperatures, that's one way to kill ick.
Yeah, I don't have an egg problem to say the.
Yeah, I'm sure. I know go ahead.
No. I said I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because ick is not a problem for me during the summer. I just plop and drop, and sometimes I don't quarantine because the biggest problem with that is you might get an ick outbreak, but it's not going to happen in my tanks.
Yeah, I last summer I was breeding rice fish. I got these platinum Madaka rice fish, and I had a little 20-gallon. They call it a muck bucket. It's just a blue bucket that holds like 20 gallons of water.
Yeah, I have the same one, but mine's black.
Yeah, so I stuck it out on my back patio, and I kind of put it in the corner where it doesn't get the direct sunlight on it. It gets sunlight, but even then, here in Texas, this last summer, it wasn't really bad. I think our highest temperature was like 106. We're out there in Arizona, you're seeing the hundreds and the teens,
Yeah.
And so, I tested the water out there and it was like 92 degrees, even, where I'm at. But I had guppies in there and none of the guppies made it. They all died off. But the rice fish, man, they loved that heat and they were just breeding like crazy. I've got 2 tubs here. Well, I got a 5.5 gallon here, and then I got one of them Walmart plastic tubs full of rice fish fry. I mean, I got a bunch of them, probably 100 fry here. So,
do you ship?
No, I don't know how to do any of that crap.
I was going to say, because you're going to start getting emails. People are going to want those rice fish.
Well, if anybody here in Central Texas, just message me. You know, you can swing by and pick up a bunch. Because, I mean, I'd be really leery of shipping because I mean I don't know how to do it right way to actually protect the fish. I don't have the equipment to do all that, I guess.
Well, you're very lucky because in the chat there's like at least a dozen of the people here that'll ship, and they're very good at shipping. Curtis is one of them. Jeff Kane is another one. Foxy and Brian, when they come on, they do excellent work. So there's plenty of resources available that'll guide you through the process if it became something you were interested in doing. He says Skull wants you to know that he's going to be in San Antonio in June for that big fish event that they're having. I think it's the ALA that they're putting on an event down there.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No, I'm not. I'm pretty much a homebody because I don't get around very much just because of my back trouble. So
yeah, you said you're in Austin though, right?
No, I'm about an hour and a half north of Austin. I'm in Harker Heights, which is, if anybody knows about Fort Hood, I'm like 10 minutes from the main gate at Fort Hood.
Oh, so you're close to Tommy then, because I think he's up in that area, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not familiar who Tommy is, but
Alien Resident.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've seen him on a stream before.
Yeah, he says he knows Fort Hood. Yeah, well, who in Texas doesn't know Fort Hood?
Yep, that's a fact. Once you get to Fort Hood and you can leave, but you're coming back. it's like a magnet. And I came from Alaska to here, you know, and I left Alaska. It was like 45 below zero, and I drove all the way from Alaska, all the way across Canada, come in through Minot, North Dakota, drove all the way down to Florida, and picked up my wife and my kids because I flew them because my daughter was this big. She was just born. And my son was like, maybe 18 months old. So they're not going to go through this drive very well. So I flew them down to my dad's house. I drove to Florida. I stopped at Fort Knox, Kentucky and visited a good friend of mine, spent the night there, and then ended out into Florida, spent some time with my parents and my wife and kids, and then drove here to Fort Hood. And one of my coworkers that I worked with, now he's an old Texas redneck, been born and bred here, and he told me, "Oh, you're gonna love it here." And I said, "Man, I'd rather be in Alaska. I love the cold, the hunting, the fishing." And now I can't leave Texas because my wife loves this thing. She hates the cold and loves the heat. So I'm stuck here. So
yeah. So what were you stationed in Alaska? Is that what was going on?
Yeah, I was. I've been all over the world.
What was your MOS?
I was a 62 Bravo as an engineer.
Oh, okay. So were you guys building bridges down there or what? Or doing waterway maintenance?
What, in Alaska?
Uh-huh.
We did everything. I deployed to the Yellowstone fires back in the 80s, deployed to Kwajalein Island. And we get to the Kwajalein Island and the construction folks, you know, they building houses or repairing buildings. And we have to fix the equipment. And all we did was scrape rust off because the salt water was just rusting everything. So scrape it off, paint it. We're like wax on, wax off. So
yeah, but it's wax on, wax off in crazy weather temperature, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, when I got to Alaska, my first winter there, it's probably your hardest winter when you first get there. And so we do what they call ice bridging. So we go up to Fairbanks area and the Tanana River, just outside of Fairbanks. It's probably 2 miles wide, but you got sandbars in between it. So what we did is, you know, they walk across the ice in the winter and you drill holes and you measure the ice. And then you start shoveling the snow off the ice and the ice will get thicker just from the insulation's gone from the snow. And then we drop these 6-inch Typhoon pumps of those holes and just pump water up on top of the ice until you have 62 inches of ice. And then you can take a 18-wheeler with a bulldozer on the back, drive it right across the river.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you what, the first time I was on the ice bridge, the door was open and I'm like, you hear the ice popping. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, Ice Road Truckers.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's literally the same feeling. I mean, you're watching and hearing popping, and you're like, "Oh God, I'm going to drown." But it was scary, but it was fun. I mean, I loved it up there. I really did.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I could work. I can work in the heat, but that's because I've lived in the desert most of my life. But I've tried working in the winter, where I got stationed in Tualatin, Utah for about a year, and that's the first time I've experienced, like temperatures in the single digits, 0, 2 degrees.
And you're
I
like,
remember just I remember just getting into the damn Humvee and bumping your knuckles, on the posts and stuff like that. And I was like, there's no way in hell you can do any kind of work in that temperature, but people do it. I guess you just man up.
that reminds me when I was in basic training, we had a young kid from the Philippines, never seen snow in his life. And we're at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and it's wintertime. And they give you your winter gear. I think he wore everything they gave him because he's like, we just laugh. It was just funny.
Well, I went from here, I didn't really start traveling until after the service, during the service. That was the most, but I was pretty much here in this region, in the desert area. So I had only seen snow a couple of times because we would drive from the Imperial Valley up to San Diego, and along the way we would have to go over the pass. And you'd see snow and you get off and just kind of touch it and whatever. But it's it was nothing crazy or exposure to that. But I remember going to basic, and this is in South Carolina, which is not necessarily really cold. But I remember I got in there January 1st. I hated it because I didn't get to do New Year's. And I don't know why they gave me orders so early, because I had to wait an entire week. So I was like, it was just me and this other guy that showed up on the very front. We traveled on the 31st. So me and him, and we both traveled from the same area. And we shipped out of San Diego. And we get there and we get to reception, and there's only 2 of us. So there is no in processing really. So they just kind of took us to some barracks and said, all right, just hang out here. We'll come and get you for breakfast and lunch. So we had no clue. For like the first 2 days, we didn't know what the hell was going on. We just kind of hung out, and that was it. And then by the 3rd day, you start getting your people coming in. You start getting all these recruits. And we were lucky because we didn't go through the whole screaming your face as you first coming into in processing, because it was just me and him. So we had a specialist, which we didn't know any better. And we thought he was like a drill sergeant because we didn't know any better. And he was playing the part too. That's probably the most authority he's had in the whole time he's been in the service. So he was kind of just punking us around because we didn't know any better. And by day 3, people are coming in, and we're sitting there from the barracks looking out, and we're seeing with the chaos that's ensuing outside. The hurry up, get out of my bus, and just can't do anything right. The initiation stress that happens, and we're going, holy shit, what did we sign up for? And the week progressed, and as by like day 6, we finally had a full barrack, and day 7 they started sending us to do the in processing. But for that whole time, we were still running around civilians because we hadn't gotten our first gear issue yet or anything like that. And I remember, like, on the 4th night, we had like half of the barracks full in there. And I remember, we were sleeping, and this is where they started messing with us, because they would set off the fire alarms. And at first time, we didn't know what was going on. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, alarm goes off. They come in, screaming, get out of here, get out of here. Can't you hear the alarm? And so we're all trying to scamper out of the building. And I remember going down the stairs and well, I looked over and I see what was puddles of water, just frozen solid ice. And I'm going, holy shit, this is cold. And then, when they make you evacuate the buildings, you can't go in there until the fire department comes in and clears it and says, all right, everything's okay. Although they know it's not, it's just the way to mess with us. And I remember standing out there because I was just, we were all sleeping and I had the little wool blanket over me and I'm shivering my ass off. I'm going, man, I'm not going to make it past the first week. But that was my first time experiencing like what most of the northern states experience as far as winters. And that was not even close to what I hear is that some people are like always in the negatives. But for me, that was the coldest I've ever been. And but yeah, it was just like a shock. And then after a while, it just kind of, you don't get used to it, but you're so worried about other shit that's going on that the cold is like the last thing you're worried about.
Yeah, I think one of the funniest parts of joining the military was you first get into the reception station. When I came in right after Vietnam, and I was drinking and smoking weed and everything. My hair was way down here to my shoulders and looked like Ted Nugent Jr. And so we get there and, you kind of pal around with a couple of people, so you get to know their names. And, just like you said, you had a few days. And then they take you to the butcher shop where they and look at us now, we're bald.
That's too many close cuts.
Yeah, I think that took 13 strokes to take my probably 18-inch long hairs off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, the worst part is not even a good cut either, because you go back and you shower and you got spots everywhere, so you're sitting there trying to fix it afterwards. But yeah, it's just
you come out of that building and it's like, where's Bubba? That's you? Oh my God, you're ugly. Yeah, there's some good times in the military, that's for sure.
It was fun. I mean, I went in a little bit older than most because I was already 21 when I finally went when I got to basic. So I had a little bit more life experience. And prior to going, I've always kind of been like that, though. I like to ask things as to what the expectations are going to be. I do my research. And I had asked, and the best analogy that somebody gave me is just think of it as pledging for a fraternity. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's really all it is. The only difference is they're preparing you for combat. But the idea that everybody's going to mess with you, but it's not personal. It's just they're trying to break you. That's really what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
it's all about discipline.
Yeah. So always understanding that and probably being a little bit older, it was all fun for me. I mean, not all fun, but what I mean, I wasn't dealing with like some of these kids that were crying and wanting to go home. They were just like homesick. And I was thinking, all right, well, I made it past today. Let's see what happens tomorrow. But for me, it wasn't that hard. It was the hardest thing I had done up until that point. But it wasn't anything, I think I've experienced harsher things in life than that, but it does give you that. I remember that sense of pride when you finally get done and you go through your drill ceremony to graduate. God, I don't think I've ever felt prouder of myself because you knew who started with you, and here you are standing with a lot less people that you started out with. And, it's just, there's this big sense of accomplishment that just is kind of overwhelming. And you're like, holy shit, not everybody can do this shit or signs up to do this. So it was interesting. It's always been something that is always been part of me. I'll never forget that. There's certain experiences that you're never just going to forget. It's just they're branded into your brain.
Yeah, I had to bury a fly in basic training. We were supposed to be in bed, and this fly, my bunk is, we're in double bunks, and this fly is just buzzing by the window, just pissing me off. So I get out with my lighter and I Well, the drill sergeant's right outside the window. Gung, gung, gung. Get out here, Private. Get that fly. Put it in a box, and you're going to do a funeral for the entire company. So I put this fly in a matchbox, and I had to dig a 4-foot by 2-foot hole and bury it in front of the company. And it took me like 2 days to dig this stupid hole. It's just like crazy crap.
Yeah.
All discipline.
I used to detest smokers when I was in the military because I didn't smoke. And it always seems like they always seem to know the people that didn't smoke, because we would all get KP where you had to go and pick up all the cigarette butts, and you're like, I don't even smoke, but you had to go out and pick up all the cigarette butts. That was like, it's almost like they knew who the smokers were in her. They always picked the non-smokers. We're always pissed because we had to pick up cigarette butts. But I guess it's better than turning rocks.
Yeah, a little bit there.
Go turn the first sergeant's rocks. So, but that was kind of, I guess those are some of the funniest stories when you would get pulled over to do duty on post, especially if you didn't go home for the holidays. So if you didn't go home for the holidays, you had to go hide because you were going to get pulled to do duty on base.
Yep, that's for sure. Well, back then when I was in there, I had 3 Harleys. I had a 1944, a 1962, and a 1982. And I had a couple incidences. One at Fort Leonard Wood. It was springtime. First time I got my Harley out to run. The snow's melted, and traffic was all backed up. So I'm going off in the bar ditch. Whoa! Here comes this MP. He slammed me over. What the hell are you doing? Man, it's a spring day. It's time to go. Get off my base and don't do that crap again. So he let me go. And then I was stationed out in California. I was at Fort Irwin, California for like 5 years.
I got stories.
and I lived in Lenwood, California. It was, you got Barstow, and then you go towards LA. It's Lenwood, and I lived in Lenwood. And I just finished, fixing my Harley. And this is when the California Highway Patrol just got their brand new Mustangs for the first time.
Yeah.
And Lenwood, I think the speed limit's like 45, but when you're out of town, it's fair game. You're in the desert, man. And that's what I was doing. I was flying, and I flew right past him. He was sitting on the side of the road, and I mean, I was probably doing 90 anyway. And so I pulled over because I knew he was coming. And put the bike on kickstand. I lit up a cigarette. And he was just laughing at me. He says, "I'm glad you pulled over." I said, "You never caught me, so I'd have run you right over," he said. But he let me go. He was pretty cool about it, basically because I pulled over, instead of trying to outrun him. But
yeah, he knew you knew that you were busted. So it was kind of like, all right.
Yeah, I missed that bike. That was my 44 that I got pulled over on. That was an old foot clutch and hand shift. And I had it was a Denver Choppers custom frame and everything. It was a chopper. When I bought the bike, it had a 22-inch over Springer front end on it. We just loaded it in a truck, and I took it over to my buddy's house. He's a machinist type guy, and we just cut the neck off and we re-welded it back in and just put a 6 over front end on it. Because that 22-inch over is like, you got to have binoculars to see the front wheels. It's like, I didn't need that.
Yeah, no. Do you still have bikes, or are you?
No, so I was overseas, and my 82 was sitting at my dad's house. And my dad was retiring fully and moving from Jacksonville, Florida, down to Bellevue. He's like, "Son, what are we going to do with this bike?" He says, "I got no place for it." I said, "Well, just sell it then." So he sold the 82. The 62, I ended up selling to a friend of mine out in California. He was wanting a bike, so I sold that to him. But my 44, that was my love, man. I loved that bike. And that was up in Alaska with me. And it needed valve guides real bad. It was starting to burn oil through the valve guides was bad. And they didn't have a place. There's a Harley shop in Anchorage, but Anchorage, they don't do any work really, and like that. So they said, well, we got to send them down to Utah. And I said, well, how much that going to cost? She said, well, we don't know till we get them back. I said, so you get them back and you tell me I owe you $5,000. You think I'm going to pay you? I said, I need to know what it's going to cost. Oh, we can't do that. We don't know. Like, okay. So I put it up on for sale. It was in pieces and I sold it for $10,000. This guy that showed up, he was like, he was strung out like big time on drugs. And he just handed me a wad of cash. He didn't even want to look at the bike and he didn't have no way to pick it up. He says, I got to wait till my friend shows up with a truck. I said, well, where you live? And I can deliver it to you. I'll put it in my truck. Okay. So he gave me his address and I loaded it up in pieces and took it down to him. And he lived, now this is in Anchorage, Alaska now. He lived in a trailer house. I mean, it still had wheels on it, but the floor literally had fallen out of it. I mean, you walk up the steps and then you step back into the thing. And I'm like, how do you live in this place, in the wintertime, It's like, golly. But, to each his own, I guess. So, but, that bike, I know that bike because I had it for 20 something years. I know that bike inside out and backwards. And I always had a quirk with my distributor. Harleys rattle and the points and the condenser in there, the wire would come loose and it would arc out against the metal cap on the distributor and it would kill the bike. And the first time that ever happened to me, I was leaving Fort Irwin, California, and I was on 40 and I was in between Needles, California and the middle of the desert. There was nothing out there and it died on me. And I'm like, oh, crap. And I finally figured out what it was. So after that, it just happened all the time, and I'd just fix it. And well, we were in Anchorage, and that guy got that bike back running, and I was heading down to Seward going fishing, and I see, oh, that's my old bike. He's on the side of the road, and he's tinkering. And so I stopped. I said, hey, you remember me? Yeah. I said, did it quit running? He said, yeah, it just quit. I said, let me show you this. Popped the cap off, pushed it down, put the cap back on, put a little screw on there. Kick it over, it'll start right up. It sure did.
Oh, he was lucky you were driving by. Who knows if he would have been able to figure it out.
Well, he'd have been like me, when you're out there in nowhere's land, you got to figure it out. So
yeah, I know, but yeah, it's just
frustrating.
If you're gonna own a Harley, you really you got to be a pretty decent mechanic because you're gonna be turning wrenches on those things all the time.
It's not that bad.
I always rode Japanese because I knew I was going to go from point A to point B, and all I had to do was put gas in it, and I would get there.
Yeah, the guy that helped me, cut the rake on my bike, he had a shop and he called it Eyeball Engineering, right? And so he built a KZ 900 and he built it to the hill like it was a racing bike, right? Mm. And he says, man, let's swap bikes and I'll ride yours and you ride mine. He says, don't shift it below freaking $6,000. I'm like, what? He says, yeah, don't shift it below $6,000. I didn't even go like a quarter of a mile and I pulled off the side where you can keep this thing. I can't even hold on the handlebars. It just wants to go. Yeah, it scared the crap out. I like the old and slow.
And it's funny because my wife actually enjoys riding on the motorcycle, and she keeps telling me, "She goes, well, are you going to get another one?" It's like, I don't know. People, it's bad enough when people weren't on their cell phones that you always had to be uber alert. Now,
yeah, it's dangerous.
I don't know if I could ride a bike. I kind of like living,
Yeah, it's really bad here.
It is crazy. You see all these people always getting plowed into because they're on their phone. They're going through the intersection on their phone, not even looking up. And we get a lot of people taken out here. We have a military base, so I don't know what it is with the military and motorcycles, but it's probably because it's cheaper transportation. That's really what it is. And then you're a little bit crazy when you're in the military. You're seeking adrenaline all the time. So
yeah,
but it's always these young guys that just somebody not paying attention and them being a little bit daredevils, and it's just not a good combination.
Yeah, I've seen so much even here. I'm right side out of Fort Hood. I mean, it's the same way. Young kids on a jet bike. It's just like a crotch rocket, and they're going down the highway 100 miles an hour, and they're, you got 2 lanes of traffic, and they're riding between the people, and just wonder why. Oh, I wonder why I'm going to die. I was down in Houston. I was going to school down in Houston, and I was coming down 290 into Houston, and literally, and this wasn't even a Harley, it was somebody on a jet bike, and he was going down the thing, and I'm doing like 70 miles an hour, and he passed me on one wheel.
Oh, I know you're lying.
It's like
you're lying, because Texas doesn't know 70 miles an hour. You guys do 85, 90. I've driven in Texas. You guys don't even know what 75 is.
Well, Texas 130 is the fastest highway in America. Its speed limit is 85, and people are still passing you.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, when they were building that, Hennessy Racing, they actually, you can go on to YouTube, but they have a video of them. They were testing the cameras that do your because it's a toll road. So they were testing the cameras, and they brought a Camaro and a CTSV Cadillac, and they were built to the hilt by Hennessy, and they were clocked at like 200 some miles an hour going through the cameras to see if it picked them up. And then at the end, the state trooper's over here and hands them a ticket. It's all fake, and but it was great.
Isn't there a shop just outside of Katy?
I'm not sure where they're located.
I know they're along the 10. Is it the 10? Yeah, I think it is the 10, because I've seen the shop and it says Hennessy on it, and I was like, "Holy shit, they're out here!" But
that might be the liquor company.
No. This is the auto shop. It's the auto shop.
I know. I'm just joking.
But I was like, man, I had no idea they were out there in Texas. So, and it's a big facility too. For a small crew that works on cars, they have a pretty good sized warehouse.
Yeah, they just built a big, huge Tesla facility out there. Elon Musk did right on Texas 130, the Speedway. I was going down there to Seguin, where my son lives, and I'm like, dang, where'd this building come from? And it's like huge. And I was asking somebody, so that's the new Tesla facility. So, okay.
Curtis found the link to that video you were talking about.
Yeah.
So let's get back to fish. Have you always kept aquariums, or was that something after the military?
No, I mean, I've had fish ever since I was a little kid. I had a paper route as a kid, and my dad wasn't rich, so he's like, if you want something, you got to get out there and earn it. So I had a paper route, and I'd saved my money, and we bought a 55-gallon aquarium. Of course, my dad he pitched in. He didn't make me pay the whole thing, but he built me a table in my bedroom. We had it's a brick. The furnace was way down in the cellar, but it's brick that went all the way up through the house and all the way up through the attic and out the roof. So he built the table from the brick to the wall, and we put the tank up on there. And, back then we had like local fish stores, mom and pop shops. Out here where I'm at, there ain't no mom and pop shops. It's PetSmart or Petco, or there's another pet menagerie or something like that here, but there's no mom and pop stores here at all. And even like my rice fish, Petco and them, they won't take them. They won't do anything with them. You can give them to us and we'll just sell them, but they won't give you any credit. They won't do anything with it. So it's whatever. But yeah, I've had fish pretty much all my life. And then, during the military, I kept like one tank, and it's tough, because you're deploying, you're going to the field, and your wife really don't give a crap about fish. So it's, that way. And then when I retired, I went bananas.
Yeah. Oh shit! What was I going to ask you? In your where you live at, how big of a community is it?
Well, I mean, we're right outside of Fort Hood, so Harker Heights, Killeen, Coppers Cove. They're the 3 major towns, and Nolanville are the major towns right around it, and it's pretty big. But
yeah, I was going to ask because you could probably use like Facebook, one of those groups on there, a group page, and be able to find people that would be interested in buying the rice fish from you. I mean, they're kind of popular right now. That's what I'm saying. It probably wouldn't be too hard for you to find um, potential buyers.
Yeah, we have I'm a member of it's Bell County, and that's what county I'm in. It's a Bell County Fish Group
Oh,
thing,
okay.
and I posted them out there, but nobody responded. They started this group maybe 8 months ago, and I'm probably the most active person on it. It's like everybody else they joined it and they've never posted nothing. They never ask any questions. It's like, okay, well, why are you even here then? you know?
Because they're looking at other people's tanks.
Yeah. So I don't know. And, I get very leery of the marketplace. So I've done some stuff on the marketplace trying to sell stuff. And man, these people, I want to send you a code to do this. And I don't know none about this. I'm not that smart the only reason I got Facebook was for the marketplace because I was looking for another tank. And I actually bought the 125 that's in my living room off the marketplace. But when I was trying to sell some, I don't remember what it was. These people, just like, and somebody told me it's a lot of that scammers, that are trying to scam you. They want you to send a code and do this and
Oh,
do
yeah.
that. I'm like, and I told this one person that kept trying to do this. I told him, I said, look, if you want what I'm freaking selling, then just come on over here and pick it up. Otherwise, quit asking me for codes and this, that, and the other thing, because I don't care. I'm not a scammer. I'm telling you the truth. This is what I'm selling. If you don't believe me, then bye. Have a good life. So sometimes I just don't have patience, for stupidity. I just don't.
Yeah, no, we kind of dealt with that for a little bit when my wife was running her flipping business for furniture. She would buy furniture, redo stuff with it, and flip it. And yeah, towards the end, we were getting. I don't know. At first, I thought, what the hell? They're asking us the code or whatever. I said, you know what? No, I don't. It sounded too fishy for me. I would disregard it. Um, tell her don't respond. It might be one of those fishing expeditions where they want to get more information from you or something. So, but yeah, I started seeing that. But luckily, not much after that. We quit doing that, and she sold off what she had, and that was that. But yeah, but I know with our groups, um, we just kind of do a lot of swapping our sales between the groups. But this one, when I got here, was a little bit more established too, and it's pretty active. As a matter of fact, even some people from the community are members, and I think it's funny that they're part of the group. But it's just I was thinking also, you guys don't have a fish club in your area?
No, I think the closest one is up in Dallas.
Hmm.
It's like 2.5 hour drive. And, I-35 in Texas is like a main artery, and it's like a main artery with cholesterol because it's clogged up all the time with cars.
Well, it's got worse now that Tesla's there.
It's just crazy. I mean, I used to work in Austin and lived up here where I live now, and it was an hour and a half drive. And, I get into like Georgetown, and I mean, I'd leave early to be at work at 8 o'clock. I'd leave here like at 6, right? 2 hours, By the time I hit Georgetown, it's like er, all the way into Austin. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just crazy, crazy.
Yeah, I know. It didn't help that with all the Californians moving out to Austin either.
Yeah. Well, they really impacted the housing market here big time. So, like, we've been searching for 2 years for a house, and I've only been in this house, 3 years now. And I looked at house. Matter of fact, the street over from us, it's the same floor plan as this one. We bid $15,000 over their asking price, and somebody from California bid $50,000 over what we bid. Because they over there in California, they got a little 2-bedroom house and they're selling it for $750,000. And in Texas, 2-bedroom house gets you, maybe 100,000.
Well, I know California priced us out of the market, and that's why
Oh
we
yeah.
came over here to Yuma, because I couldn't find a home for under 350. I mean, that
Yeah.
was and it was kind of like totally gut and rebuilt, you know. So I was like, there's no way in hell. I'm not I'm gonna be house broke for the rest of my life if I do that.
Yeah.
So I told my wife, you know what? I don't have a problem if I have to commute, you know, an hour 15 to go to work. But if that means that we buy a home, then I'm willing to do that. And we came over here, and sure enough, almost within a week of looking in the market down here, we found a really nice home for what I felt was a fair price. And we didn't even we paid asking price. Just, you know, I know the agent that we had, she was like, well, no, we can ask for less. And I was like, why? You know, just it's a good value. Let's just pay what they're asking for. And shortly after that, the market just kind of went up, and the young lady from that was our agent, she goes, "Oh, I'm so glad you guys asked for the asking price, because I know there was other bids that were under it,
Yeah.
and you guys outbidded everybody because you paid for asking." And after that, it was just this was a new phenomenon for her, because they were so used to this market, because there wasn't a lot of sales. They were always asking, you know, 3 or 4,000 under asking, just so that they could, you know, negotiate. But then it became a point where it flipped. Now they were requiring, you know, 5,000-6,000
Yeah.
asking price just to be able to get a home. And so we hit the market. I tell my wife, we were so fortunate. We hit it exactly at the right time. The interest rate we got is insane compared to what everybody else is paying. So we laugh because you'll get that junk mail where they want you to refinance. And I was like, there's no way in hell we're going to ever do that, because even at your rates that we're doing, we'll still be paying a lot more in interest. So
Yeah.
I told my wife, because she, even the other day, she asked me, hey, do you think it would be a good idea? I said, are you kidding me? Have you looked at what the interest rates are? There's no way we're giving this up. So,
Yeah.
so it
Well,
was like, sorry.
yeah, I've been really blessed because, like I say, I bought this house, and the guy that was selling it, he was wanting 401,000 for it, and we ended up getting it for 11,000 under what he asked for it. After we had the home inspector come, and there was nothing major, you know, but we just threw out a number and he took it. So we bought the house, and I put $100,000 down because we'd been saving for years, you know, because we knew we were moving. So I put $100,000 cash down, borrowed the rest, and then I didn't have a mortgage from my old house. I just paid that off 15 years ago. So I'm like, man, I don't want a mortgage. So when I retired, I had 401ks, IRAs, I had stocks from my company and all this. So my brother-in-law, he's a fiduciary up in New York. So I went to him and he consolidated everything. And I said, okay, this is what I want to do. Once I sell my old house, I'm going to take all that money, and then I'm going to ask you for this much money out of my stocks. We're just going to pay my mortgage off. So that's what we did. And so I'm mortgage free. I love it.
Yeah. But no, and then other thing that I wanted to ask you, I know you've kind of post periodically stuff in there, but what's primarily the kind of fish that you keep? Are you more into cichlids, community fish? Because I know when you started, you kind of post on there the different kind of fish that you, I guess, are more attracted to.
Yeah, I mean, I got a big mix, right? So the 180, that's all cichlids. It's got warus, silver dollars, Oscars. Um, what else I got there? Severums. I got some Siamese algae eaters, a couple of plecos. I got a Sedanis catfish. And what else I got in there? I think that's it. And all the rest of my tanks are all planted tanks. So I have three, well, now it's four with the tub that I just did. I've done the father fish method.
Uh-huh.
So I've got a 29 over here and a 20 below it. Uh-oh, I lost you.
No, you're there. I'm here.
I don't know what happened.
I see you. You don't see me?
Well, I see you, but the screen went crazy.
Oh yeah, it's because I brought up your channel so that we can.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But
no, that's
anyway, so the 29 and the 20, those are like pure father fish. I bought his substrate and everything, and then put a sand cap on there. And then I have a tub that I bought from Walmart. It's got the rice fish fry in there. Now I mixed up my own substrate with his. I bought his supplement package that you mix with your soil.
yeah.
And I did the same thing with that 150-gallon stock tank that I just finished up today. I just posted the last video today. Um, so those are all planted like that. And then my 75-gallon, my 40 breeder, my 5.5-gallon, and I got a 10-gallon back behind me in a closet. Those are well, the 10-gallon and the 5.5 is just straight sand substrate with plants in it. And then the 75 and the 40 breeder and my 125 out in the living room are, the planted substrates. So I have a mix of, fish, treat them all. So in the 125, I have 7, what do you call them things? Denison barbs. I'm
Okay.
having a brain fart here. And I got rainbow fish in there, some corridoras, a couple plecos. I've got one angelfish, rosy barbs, which I'm kind of mad about the rosy barbs because they're eating my plants. And if I'd known they're eating anubias, and I got some big anubias and they're beautiful, but damn stupid fish are eating my plants, and try to fish them out is like a nightmare because you got plants everywhere, and then wood, rocks. It's like, oh golly. But yeah, so that's that tank. And then my 40 breeder, I have Empire gudgeons in there. I have 2 males and 1 female, and they've actually spawned, but I haven't been able to really get the eggs out, and I haven't had the ability to really have a place to put them, and I didn't even know if they were ever going to spawn, when I first bought them. And then in that tank as well is just like I got like 30 neon tetras in there, and it's a heavily planted tank. And then my 75-gallon has a mix of, has swordtails, giant danios. What else do I got in there? The lights are off, so I can't see, but some yo-yo loaches. I have a snail problem. I'm not a big snail person. I don't like snails. So I literally, my 75-gallon, I tore that whole tank down and dried everything out and let it sit for a week because I had so many snails in there and I couldn't get rid of the stupid things. It was driving me insane. So I tore the whole tank down, started over. And I still got snails in there. How they get in there, I don't know. But anyhow, so I put yo-yo loaches in there and they keep them under control, so which is good. And
Yeah, I was gonna ask you because I've never used the planet substrate. I've done like you, a lot of I can relate to a lot of the stuff you've done because your fish room or your tanks are very similar to the way I keep tanks. But I've always been curious. Do you really see a big difference between using the enriched substrates versus just using dirt and sand? Is there a noticeable difference?
yeah, if my father fish tanks, the plants they just grow like crazy. Now my 40 breeder, now that's my oldest and my first planted tank I ever did, and it's like I want to say 4 years old, and it just has no sand. Well, it does have a little bit of sand mixed in there, not much, but just the planted substrate. But one thing I don't do, I don't vacuum any tanks. I just don't do it. I let that fish poo, the moam, and everything just build up, and it just breaks down and goes in there and feeds the plants. And that's why my plants do so good. Now, my 180 behind me, I've got 2 wave makers. I've got one of those Jabo, like 120s. It's a big, long one. And it sits on one end of the tank, and I got it on a timer. And then I have another little small round one that sits on the other end of the tank. And, every couple, 2-3 hours, it comes on for like 15-20 minutes. It just circulates the water and it picks that stuff up. And between my FX6 that's on there and the sump, it blows all that stuff, up off the substrate. Now, the only time I really do vacuum the 180 is like if I'm moving the big rocks or the driftwood or something. Of course, you're going to have trapped, fish poo in there and everything. So I'll just turn the wave makers on and it'll push it all to one side of the tank, and then I can just siphon it out and get it out of there. But that's the most I do. I used to have gravel in my tanks many years ago, and I just got tired of gravel back and gravel back and gravel back. I'm just like, I'm done with this. I'm going to sand.
Yeah, I think nowadays, well, it depends on your tank, but I think anybody that has plants that are actually in the substrate, not necessarily anubiases or ferns or rhizome plants. I'm talking about rooted plants.
Right.
It's almost counterproductive to gravel vac your aquarium, because a lot of that stuff is going to work itself into the substrate you have, and the plants will take it up. I've been very lucky because now I don't do gravel vacs in my aquariums, but again, mine, it's a whole different system what I'm doing because mine are all planted. I don't have the big cichlids that'll disrupt the substrate. So I can get away with doing that style of tanking where, I just do water changes and that's pretty much it. That's all I mess with. I'll scrape algae off the glasses because I'll forget to turn off. Well, like right now, I turned on the timers for my lights. If I don't remember, I'll think that they're on the timer and they're on 24/7. And then the way I'll know is I'll come in one day and this glass back here will have a bunch of green spot algae, and I go, oh, I left the lights on. But that's about it. Other than water changes here or there, and now it's mostly just playing musical tanks with fish that I'm trying to breed. But that's it. They're kind of set them and forget them.
Bear with me. I'm trying to get a light set up here so you can see me a little better.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to turn in all the tanks and all the lights, so I'm kind of sitting in the shadows a little bit.
All my tanks, the lights are off except for the 180, and it's not going to be long. Probably another 15 minutes, and it'll drop off. So I got everything on a timer. So try to keep the algae at bay.
So, what made you decide to start a YouTube channel?
I don't know. I really don't know. I start watching fish videos. I didn't realize how many people are out there. I mean, smart people like you, Father Fish.
Oh, no.
Ben Ochar. Sailing Aqua. All these guys. They've been doing it for a long time, and we're still learning. We're learning every day. I don't know everything. On my channel, I'm pretty raw because I'm not a fancy editor or anything. I'm learning a little bit about editing. The guy that built my computer, he just started a YouTube channel, but he's pretty smart with the same program I use, Filmora, to do my video editing, and he was showing me stuff that I didn't even know it could do. So I'm like, oh God, okay, that's cool. Yeah, so, I'm learning a little bit about that, but my videos, I'm not a fantastic, I don't have this big fancy camera and all these fancy gizmos and gadgets. It's just my phone and me. So it's pretty much.
I'm kind of the same way. Actually I'm worse because I don't even know. My idea of editing is adding a thumbnail and putting music at the beginning of the intro. That's it. And I don't do cut angles. I seldom, at least you'll set up an angle, and then if you go somewhere else, you'll take the camera with you, and so I can always see what you're doing. I'm horrible because I like to say I'm a vlogger because it really means I'm just a lazy person that does filming. It's just I don't want to set up cameras. I'll just move it around with me. But I'm more interested in sharing what I'm doing and with the little information that I might be wanting to share with you in that moment that I have. But I'm don't get it twisted. I'm not that I'm not the expert or have that much knowledge because I restarted into the hobby, not too long ago. I mean, I look old, but that doesn't mean that I have a lot of knowledge. I'm still learning. I would say I am a little bit above beginner, in between beginner and mid experience, because I'm always learning new stuff. I mean, luckily I'm surrounded by people that know way much more than I do, and I'm always going to them and asking them for advice and help and stuff like that. So, and that's the only reason why I might sound like I know what I'm talking about, is because I surround myself with smart people that really do know what they're talking about, and I'm pretty good at regurgitating what they tell me.
Well, I can tell you for me, especially in the planted world, I was scared to death to start my first planted tank because every time I tried it in the past, they just die and I just frustrated. Screw that crap. Plastic's the way to go. But, Father Fish, I started watching I found his channel one day and it's like, holy crap. He makes it simple. People may say some of his stuff is controversial, but you think about what he's doing, he explains why he does it, and it just works. I was scared to death to build a dirty tank. It took me probably a year watching his videos and like Patty's Aquatics
Mm-hmm.
and like LRB. Look at LRB. He's got all these tanks, no filters, no air, no heaters, nothing. And I'm like, how do you do this stuff? And like LRB says, nature's going to take care of itself. And so sometimes you just got to not be scared and try something new. And so, like I say, they were big influences on me on doing the planted tanks, especially the dirty tanks. And like I told Patty's Aquatic, that's my eventual goal here is that all my tanks minus my 180 behind me will be fully dirted planted tanks. The problem with that is I got to tear it down, and they're thriving in there now, and then just swap it over. It's like, I want to, but better not yet.
Yeah, I've learned the hard way that you can't set up every tank as a planted tank because it's going to depend on the species of fish that you're keeping in there.
Yeah.
I've learned that I made that mistake of thinking, oh yeah, I can do all my tanks planted, and with dirted planted to make it even worse. And come to find out, there's like this one behind me. I have some monocytus tetras in there. Well, it took me a while to figure out why every time I would put jungle val in that tank, it would disappear. Yeah, I'd set it up and look real nice. The whole back would be full of it. 2 or 3 days later, I come in and it looks like this. And I'm going, what the hell's going on? It's not floating up at the top. It's just gone.
You got goats in your pasture.
Exactly. That's what it was. And one day I was sitting here because I had just planted it. And I was like, something's got to be eating it. I had no idea what it was. And I'm sitting here and I see the Buenos Aires come up and he nibbles it down like it was a strand of spaghetti. I was like, oh, they're like you said, the little goats. But it's just the valve. I guess they don't like the Amazon swords. And that's all I have in there. That's the only plant that I have in there is Amazon swords. That's not true. I have some crypts. They're in the front, but that's it. I can't keep anything else that has like Rotella or Luigia or water wisteria or any of the hydrophilias. None of that stuff because they'll eat it. The only thing they don't touch apparently is swords, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like my guys right here behind me in the 180. I go in there and like if I got extra plants, I got a lot of floaters, so I have to keep taking the floaters out because they just get so thick. And man, I throw them in that 180, and my Warus, they'll eat lettuce, they'll eat plants, anything you throw in there that's green, they're going to eat it. And cucumbers, zucchini, they just love it.
Well, I tell my wife I have the garbage disposal tank, and it's my Pleco tank that's down here.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that we have leafy greens that got wilted or she wants to throw them out, I said no, give that to me. I'll come and throw it in there, and in a few days they'll be gone. They'll just consume all of that stuff.
Yeah.
People say you got to be careful because of pesticides and all that. I haven't had an issue so far. Let me knock on wood because, but I just rinse it like if I was going to consume it, and just throw it in there. I don't throw away none of that stuff. So these guys will consume lettuce, cucumbers, zucchinis. One day I tried carrots, but I had to blanch those, and it took them way longer than I expected for them to finish those. So I don't do the carrots anymore.
Have you tried green beans?
Yes, I have a video where I dumped the whole can. And,
oh my gosh!
and I didn't even know. I knew I had a bunch of them, but I never see them all. And when in that video, you'll see where they come out. It's a short that I did. I didn't realize I must have had, I don't know, about 60 plecos in there. They're all juveniles, probably about inch and a half. And it was like, it's like when you have Malaysian trumpet snails, when you turn off the lights, that's when you really realize how many you have, because the whole wall will be covered.
They start coming out the ground.
Yeah. That's the way it was in that video. And I was like, holy smoke, I have that many in there.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah, but I've done it. I've done that. Everything that I see out in the internet, I'll try it. My opinion is if it starts going bad, I know I can fix it. So, but I give it a try.
Yeah. My Warus, that I got in here, I've got a pair of them, and they breed. They lay eggs. They've been laying eggs about twice a month for probably 2 years now, and they never come to fruition. So here, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, they laid eggs on a piece of slate that I had in there. And so I said, all right, I'm going to try something different. So I had this little plastic Tupperware tub and put some tank water in it and grabbed the slate. And of course, they bit me trying to get the slate and drew blood on me. And so I grabbed it and I threw the slate in there and put a little bubbler in there. And just like normal in the 180, when they had eggs, a lot of them don't get fertilized. They turn white, and I just kept looking at it every day, and it just got worse and worse. I'm over here with a little pipette sucking out the bad eggs and everything. And it's like, guess it didn't work. I thought maybe I could get some. Well, I left what was left in there, I forgot about them. And I go back there a couple of days later, and I got wigglers in there. So I took them all out of there. I got them in a breeder box hanging on my 40 breeder right now. I got 11 fry of Warus, first time for me. So hopefully I'll be able to get those guys and grow them out.
Well, that'd be nice.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and especially because they're not very inexpensive to get either. They're, how much are Warus down in your area?
I bought them online.
Okay.
Like I say, we have Petco and PetSmart, so
that's right.
They carry their little standard fish, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, every once in a while they'll have some oddball fish, like either somebody dropped off to them or whatever. But if you want anything specific, other than the standard, you're going to have to go online and order them. And I ordered 4 of them, and I only got 3 left. I had a pair of electric blue Acaras, and I had them in my 75, and they bred, and I had babies and all that stuff. And then they got big, so I put them in my 180. Well, who'd have thought that an electric blue Acara that's like 3-4 inches long is going to tear up a 9-inch doggone Waru? I come in one morning, and my biggest Waru is laying on its side. It just beat up to death, barely moving. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? So I took him out and stuck him in another tank, but he's like, he ain't coming through with this. And so I started watching that tank in my electric blue Acaras. They tag team on the doggone Warus, and they had them cornered. And I did a video on my channel of them. I think I called it "Who Says Electric Blue Acaras Are Peaceful" or something like that,
Well, and when they're spawning, they can be real a-holes.
Yeah, but they weren't even spawning. They were just they were sparring. And I'll tell you, they just was after them. So I ended up rehoming those guys. I'm like, okay. And I like the electric blue Acaras. They're beautiful fish, but my Warus, they're more expensive than an electric blue Acara for sure. So,
And they're harder to come by too.
Yeah, I think I don't even think he's in business anymore. I forget his name, and he's out in Arizona. He used to sell fish, but I think he had to move or something.
Oh, the cichlid hut? No, what was it called?
Yeah, I
The
forget his
cichlid
name.
shack.
Yes, yes, that's where I bought him from.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
don't know.
it was unfortunate because he had some really nice fish. He was like one of the few people that was actually keeping some of the dwarf cichlids in his area. I never got
Yeah,
around to go check out his store, but it was always one of those places that I wanted to go visit. I know Ben Ochart always was talking
yeah,
uh, about his channel, and not his channel, but his store.
yeah. I
And
mean, that's how I found him. It was through Ben, and he was talking about him. I'm like, okay, well, let me go check him out. And oh, he's got waroos. I want them.
yeah, he had some nice ones, but I don't know. I guess some bad business decisions kind of forced him to close. But
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but it's too bad.
mm, yep.
But I've done a lot of shopping with Aquahuna. They're up in Washington.
How do you like
Uh,
them?
I haven't had any problems with them. Now I've had one shipment where I had a couple of fish die, and
Mhm.
I just sent them a picture, and I mean, just same day, it's like they refund my money. Um, so I haven't had any problem. You know, from Texas to Washington, that's a pretty good ways. And then sometimes the post office is they're not the greatest at 2 or 3 day mail could end up a week or more, or it could end up in Arizona instead of Texas. So but other than that, I mean, I've had good luck with their stuff, and I bought a lot of smaller fish and stuff like that. But anything that's a common fish, I'll try to go to the local fish store, like the neon tetras or the swordtails or stuff like that. I would try to give them the business. But anything special that I can't get there, then I'll go online and order. Like the rice fish that I bred all summer, I bought a total of 12 of them. I got them from LRB and then another source, and I put them out there in that little 20-gallon tub. And golly, them babies! First time I ever had rice fish, and like I had them in a tank inside the house and didn't see any eggs. Stuck them outside in the tub with the sunlight and the heat, and like they just started breeding like crazy, worse than rabbits. And so I put little breeding mops in the tank, and every day I'd come out there and pull out eggs, and I'd come in here and set them on a little. I had a little glass Pyrex dish, and I just put the eggs in there and put a little bit of methylene blue in there with them, and next thing you know, I got itty bitty fry. Them babies are tiny. But and the ones I got growing out now, they're probably half an inch to 3/4 of an inch long now. So
So the
they're
rice fish will predate on their fry, or it's just got so
yeah,
much coverage that they get
yeah,
away.
they will for sure.
Oh,
LRB's mentioned that before, that they'll now. I mean, I guess if you had a forest in there, you might get some that save through there. But I didn't take any chances. I wanted to try to breed them, and first time I ever had rice fish, and these are the platinum blue Madakas, and they're really pretty, especially when they're outside in the sun. It's just like they've got like it's white, but it's blue and it's like shiny, and when the sun's hitting on them, it's almost like a mirror reflecting back at you. They're really pretty, you know. But I got a ton of them, so at some point I got to get rid of some.
yeah. They're asking if Tommy from Resident Alien is asking if you keep any of the natives,
Native as in what?
native fish,
Just
from the local waterways or anything like that.
no, I haven't done that. My son did. Like I say, I was in his 90-gallon. He put catfish and bluegills and anything he could catch. Yeah, I haven't done that. When I had that 90-gallon, before I gave it to my son, I had it on my back patio, and I killed every fish in it. Probably my worst day in fish keeping history. So I had a above the tank sump, homemade built sump. And so I had a pump in the tank, and it pumped water up through it, go through the filter, and drop it back in the tank. Well, it started leaking. So it's okay. Well, I ordered this box from Amazon, and so I drilled it and made the stuff for it, put the pumps on it and everything, put the doggone lava rock and the filter floss and all that stuff back in it, and glued all the fittings, with the PVC glue and everything. Got it all set up, put it on the tank, started it up. Everything was fine. Next morning, get up, and I was breeding angelfish at the time, and I had freaking tons of angelfish. So I had probably 15 angelfish out in that tank. And they were, maybe this big at the time. They weren't full grown. And I had 2 goldfish out there, and a big old, just a regular old pleco. It wasn't no fancy one, just a normal pleco that gets like 87 inches long, But I come out there the next morning, and every fish in that tank, even the pleco, was dead. I'm like, if you kill a pleco, there's something wrong with you. So something in that box was poisonous or something, I guess. I don't know if that plastic was, I don't know what it was, but I killed every fish in there. And that's when I asked my son, you want this tank? Because I'm taking it down. I killed everything in it, so I'm not happy.
Yeah. So what's your ultimate goal eventually? What would you like to be able to do with your channel, or what are you looking forward to do? Do you have any plans, or is it just see where it goes?
Yeah, plans? Yeah, no, I don't have any plans. I just like to share what I'm doing. If people want to watch, fine. If they don't want to watch, fine. I mean, I'm happy either way. It doesn't matter to me. I just enjoy watching other people, stuff. I learn from other people. Maybe whatever I'm doing, somebody's learning from me. Maybe not. Like I say, I'm not a fancy YouTuber, and I don't have all the fancy gizmos in the fancy videos. I'm pretty raw. Even like the 150-gallon stock tank, when I was drilling it, because the plug that comes with it is metric. Well, you can't get no metric PVC here.
Yeah.
So I had to drill it. So I'm over here trying to film it, getting ready to drill it. And while I'm filming it, drop the phone. Boom, bam, bam. So I had to edit that out because I was over there cussing. God darn it. So.
Well, I personally enjoy watching your videos. Like I said, I see a lot of similarities in the way we keep fish and stuff like that. So that's one of the things that automatically appealed to me. The other thing is almost everybody here is kind of the same way. I mean, we like to share the information that we have. If it helps somebody, great. But I think more than anything else is for the camaraderie and being able to just have people to share our experiences with, I think, because I don't know about you, but the only time I get to talk fish is here.
Yeah.
That's the only time. I don't get to do that outside of the circle. There's nobody in my family. My wife will listen because she's my wife, but she'd rather I talk about something different.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. So, although she's very understanding, because every time we travel, I always tell her, hey, do you mind if we stop, at
a fish store?
Yeah, a fish store. I'm not going to buy anything. I just want to see it. And she'd be like, all right, she's
Honey, can I have the credit card?
She's game. So, well, she's game now because I told her that we can write it off in our taxes as a business trip instead of a pleasure trip. So
yeah,
she's all on board for that one. She's like, yep. And now it's so funny because we just recently went to LA. We had a family thing that happened, and on our way back, she goes, "Are you gonna stop at one of the stores?" It's like, no, I don't feel like it. But yeah, it got to the point now where she was thinking, "Oh, maybe we can write this off."
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed like the stream you had the other day was actually Garage Aquatics and Jeff Bellum, and I was just rolling over laughing because you guys are hilarious together. And this is the first time I've actually been on a live stream, other than I was on Jesse's live stream for a few minutes, just showing off my tanks. And, I was a nervous wreck. And even like I told you when we talked before the thing, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do on here because this really basically the first time I've been on a live stream. So I didn't know where we were going, anything what we were going to do. So I'm like over here freaking out. But after watching you guys on Garage Aquatic, this could be okay.
Well, it's got to be enjoyable, or why do
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
You got to have fun. I love to laugh. That's my favorite thing. Is have a good time. I try to do it every time I'm somewhere. But it's just I just enjoy that. So yeah, I try to have a good time, man. It doesn't matter where I'm at. There's certain occasions where it's not appropriate, so I can manage to behave and be a little bit more serious. But if it's no holds bar, I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna have I'll loose and have a good time. So
well, I really appreciate what you're doing because not many of the YouTubers are doing what you're doing. You're bringing on these small channels like mine. I got a small channel, just like yesterday you had Sarah on there. I've never even heard of her before until your channel, so went over there and subbed for her. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it gets people out there to see other folks, and there's not many YouTubers doing that. I mean, I think the more and more they see what you're doing, I think more and more will start doing that.
hopefully.
Because I mean, it's what do you call it? Marketing, I guess. It's how
It's
you
not
get
even
people.
marketing. For me, here's the thing. I think the bigger community we have and the more we support each other, the better off we're all going to be.
Right.
And I 100% believe in that. And and then the other thing is, half the times if I find something enjoyable, there's more than likely going to be at least 2 or 3 other people that are going to enjoy it. So I'm going to share it out. I'm going to share my experience with somebody else, and hopefully they like it. As a matter of fact, last night I was working graveyards, and now it's become a thing where YouTube will send me like other channels that I normally don't visit, and I think it's all Sarah's fault. I'm gonna blame it on Sarah.
Blame it on her.
Yeah, no, because all of a sudden now I'm getting a lot of channels from Australia that are popping up on my feed, and I came across this young guy, and I think I was talking to Funk this was just a little while ago before we started, and I was telling him this kid has all the tools to really blow up because he's excellent editor, he's a great storyteller, and he's funny. So you have those 3 combinations where the guy knows how to work a camera, lighting, angles, you name it. Great storyteller. I mean, God, I was so impressed as a young kid. Well, for us, they're all young kids, right? But,
right.
yeah, but no, he's a young man, and he's just naturally funny. And I was looking at that. He only has 1 video. As a matter of fact, I sent that link directly to Alex. I don't know if he's been able to see it or not, because I know Alex would appreciate it because he's Fathom Aquatics. Because he's really into. We spent like 3 hours last night talking about editing, and as soon as we were done, I started looking on YouTube, found this kid, and I was like, holy, I was blown away. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It seems like most of his stuff is on shorts, but I really like it because they're kind of like they really intended with shorts to be like educational. And I mean, the kid's a whiz. I don't know if he's doing it all by himself or not, but that kid he's going to be big. He's going to be one of those guys that within a year or 2 down the road
He's going to blow up.
Is going to blow up. So
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool to find him. I don't know how popular he's in Australia, but I want to say I can't recall how many subscribers he had, but the kid's got what it takes to be successful in this genre, and it'll be nice to see his progression and see where he goes. So, but that's kind of what I've really enjoyed. I mean, I'll periodically share stuff, especially if it's something that I recently learned or something different that I'm doing, and I'll share that. But a lot of it lately has been just doing this. like I was telling Sarah the other day, and everybody else that's been with me, I kind of enjoy having conversations with people and getting to know them. Everybody has a story. I know everybody says, I don't have anything to say. Hell yeah, you're an individual. We all lived life differently. Everybody has a story to tell. And just because you don't think it's special doesn't mean that other people don't find inspiration behind it or can relate to it. So I've been very fortunate so far. Nobody's ever told me no. So I'm going to keep going until people say, hey, okay, we don't want to deal with you no more.
Yeah.
But
Well, I remember when I first posted that video of me just kind of telling you about me, right?
yeah,
You're the only one, but you put it out there, you shared it and posted it, say, hey, this guy's a veteran, go check out his channel. And I'm like, I was shocked. I'm like, who's this guy? He's on my channel.
well, I do tend to freak people out because I'm very forward. Because I problem is I get excited, and when I get excited about something, I want to hurry up and do stuff.
Right.
And something I know Sarah must have thought that I was a weirdo because I hit her up and I said, hey, look, I really like what you're doing, and I'm pretty aggressive when it comes to pursuing people that I want to be able to talk to, because I've learned if I sit back and I'm pretty patient, I don't make things happen. So I sometimes tend to catch people off guard. Constantine was here earlier. I don't know if he's here. He's another guy that he was kind of like, whoa, what's up? Slow down, dude. But once they watch, 'cause it seems like that's the natural impulse. They'll see the name, they'll go see what the hell's going on, and then they realize what I'm doing, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's cool, and they'll reach out. But yeah, no, it's just I'm of the opinion the more the merrier. I think we all can learn from each other. I mean, the reason I say that, oh, there he is. He just popped up. The reason I say that because I've learned from everybody. Every interaction that I've had, there's something that I can walk away and say that I've learned from them.
Right.
And to me, that's just awesome. And I figured if I can do that, there's somebody else that's going to benefit from that too. So as long as people are willing to hang out with me, I'm going to continue to do this. Apparently people are liking it because I am consistently having the support of the people of the community. And I like making friends. So, it's just one of those things where it works out for, I guess, everybody.
Yeah. Patty's Aquatic, he reached out to me, said, hey man, George wants to meet up with you. He wants to do a live stream. I'm like, really? What's he want with me? It's like, I said, okay, I'll talk to him. So I looked you up on Facebook and we messaged back and forth. But like I say, I do appreciate it. And I know the other channels that you've had out here, I'm sure they appreciate it. And, because it is, you get out here like this and people see you, and then sometimes you get subs, sometimes you don't. Sometimes they look at your channel and say, okay, well, but then I've found most times I end up with people subscribing to my channel through live streams or whatever. And you mentioned this on another live stream the other day about when you look at all the subscriptions that you've subscribed to, it started out, you had 4 or 5. Now you got to scroll through them all. I'm the same way now because it's like I keep subscribing to people. And like, now I'm looking for that channel and I got to scroll and scroll. Where's that channel? Oh, I missed it. Let me go back up.
Well, it's gotten to the point now where even people in the comments, they might not have a channel now, because that's how I started out. I started out watching, participating in the chats. Even though I kept Aquarians, I wasn't sharing anything. I was always a little hesitant because I felt like I couldn't contribute to what was going on. I mean, that was the mistake I made. But after a while, you kind of build a little bit of confidence. You realize, okay, well, maybe I know a little bit more than I thought I knew. And you never know when you're going to start a channel, and it's never too late to start a channel either. So now when I have people, even people that I'll see in the chats that I don't recognize, if they're there, it's obviously because they have an interest in the hobby. I'll sub to them. Sometimes I'll be the very first sub they have. I'm not expecting them to do anything other than maybe in the future, if they start creating content, I'll get notified. And that's pretty much it. And
Right.
but yeah, no, I don't know if it's going to be a point where YouTube is going to say, hey, dude, you know, you got to clear up your subscription box because you got way too many people.
Right.
So, you know, we'll see what happens. But, you know, I really have enjoyed this. Um, I I have a good time. I like talking to people in case people haven't figured it out. And every interaction has been very fortunately pleasant. So, and like I said, it's just it it's allowed me also to make new connections, and I've gotten a lot of friendships out of this too. You
Yeah.
know, there's a lot of people here currently right now that I know I can pick up the phone and talk to them about just about anything, and they're willing to listen. So that's been the upside of all this.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I've enjoyed, seeing your channel and seeing your live streams, and it's pretty good. And then I was shocked when Patty's Aquatic said, "Hey, he wants to bring you on the live stream." I'm like, really? What do I got to offer? Because really, I'm nobody special. I really ain't. I'm just here, and I'm share what I do, good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah. So but you see, I'd be more worried if people or somebody would be like, "Oh yeah, you definitely have to have me on," and then I'll be like, "Oh shit, this person has got some mental issues because they think they're much better than everybody else," and you know, but no, I get that sense. I guess they call it imposter syndrome, but um, I think what it is we're kind of grounded in reality, but again, everybody has an interesting story to tell. So as long as you're willing to come up here with me and spend a few minutes or an hour or so and have a conversation, I'd be more than happy. And I'm sure if I find you interesting, there's going to be people in the group that are also going to find it interesting. And I think we all kind of tend to gravitate to people that are similar to us in certain ways. So this is the way that I feel that we can grow our community and support each other. It's not everything is for everybody, but that's why you have choices and you can pick and choose what you want to watch and who you want to watch. But this is just giving you more options to do that. And I've been very fortunate to have that opportunity. I've said it over and over again. That was done for me when I was starting out. And at the bare minimum, that's the least that I can do to kind of pay it forward. And you know, I've been blessed and again, it's just it's fun. It's really fun. I really enjoy it. So, but thank you. I want to thank you so much for taking a chance of coming up here, and I'm sure you're gonna get to meet some of these people. I mean, you've been in and out of a lot of the live streams, and now a lot of people can put a face to the name too. That's always nice too when
Yeah.
you finally get to put a face to a person's name, and you know, I'm sure you'll pick up a few friends along the way too, like I've been able to do that, and everybody else here.
Yeah. I was watching one of Ben Ochart's live stream, and he actually had Whip on his channel for the first time, face to face. And I'm like, so that's Whip. I'm telling you, I didn't picture Whip with big long hair and everything like that. And I'm like, man, that was me when I was a teenager. My hair was all that long and everything. But you like you said, that's you put a face to a name, and that really helps.
Yeah, it just changes it more and it makes it more human.
Yeah, sure
It's
does.
just kind of like it goes away from being somebody in a name in the chat to a person in the chat that you're like, yeah, that's so and so.
Yeah,
And
because I see the chat and all these different names. I don't know who. And, a lot of people, they know each other, so they call them by their name, not their channel name.
yeah,
And like, well, I don't even know who they're talking to. So
yeah, I'm horrible about that because
yeah,
I like calling people by their names, but yeah, that's why I have to. Funk is a person that I regularly talk to. We talk maybe 2 or 3 times out of the week. And I'll start rattling off, "Oh, I'm going to have Scott on today." He goes, who's Scott? Oh no, yeah, it's raising fishes. And he
Yeah.
goes, oh, okay. Or when they don't have their name in the channel, he's like, well, the hell do you know all these people's names? I go, I don't know. I just kind of retain that information. But and it gets so to the point where I forget sometimes their actual channel name, and I'm having to play recall and go, oh shit, what was the name of his YouTube channel? Because I know I get so accustomed to calling them by their name. But it's just, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, on Whip's live stream earlier today. So you messaged me on there and said, "Hey, check your email, right?" Well, there's another Scotty with a
Yeah,
and
Scotty
he spells
Aquatics.
it. Well, he spells it with an IE, and then I forget the rest of the name. He's like, "I didn't get the email," so I said, "Wrong Scotty."
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's but I just wanted to say thank you for coming on. I'm just kind of rambling now, not really making any sense. I'm tired because I'm still in the process of shifting my I guess circadian rhythm or whatever you want to call it, because it's a second graveyard shift. So I'm only sleeping like 4 hours straight in the morning when I get off of work. And now I got to go back and sleep for a little bit more before, because
right,
if I don't do that today, I'm not going to make it through the night. So I got to
right.
go catch a couple of hours of sleep, and I can feel it because my mouth and my brain are not connected now. My mouth is getting ahead of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I appreciate you bringing me on. It's been a good time. Uh, I, I was nervous at first, but you seem to calm that down real easy. So you're easy to communicate with. So I like that. So it was
well,
good.
thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
that. And I just want to thank everybody for coming in here again. You guys don't disappoint. You continue to support, and as long as you guys continue to support, that to me is an indication that you guys like what I'm doing. And if that's the case, then I'll continue to do it. So, with that being said, I want to thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'll be on, but it won't be this long. I just want to be able to talk about a couple other channels. The the problem is there's so many channels out there that I can't have everybody on here at once. So I kind of want to cheat and give you guys an opportunity to go see them, so that eventually, if they do become a guest, to my live stream, you guys a little bit have an idea of who they are. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I called it the plug. It's a running joke that started out in outside in aquatics, and it's just kind of it's got it's an inside joke, but it also makes sense that I call it that because I'm trying to promote some other channels that are up and coming, and so that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. And with that being said, thank you guys, and I'm sure I'm going to catch most of you guys in a live stream. So talk to you guys later.
All right. Bye bye.